when they got away with stealing your gold. Think it can't happen again? What was the thing in Kelo versus Connecticut, which actually Trump supported, by the way? Theft. Supreme Court approved it. Theft. This is outright theft. Nothing happens. The government steals. What they do, the government steals. This under FDR, who was put into power by whom? Oh yeah, John Rockefeller and his bandits at Standard Oil. And who put and why? What was John Rockefeller wanting? He wanted World War II to consolidate the oil. And he got it. What did who proposed to put Wilson in World War I, even though Wilson ran on not going to war? Well, J.P. Morgan. Why? Because he had billions. They had billions of loans outstanding to the Allies, and the Allies were on their back. Yeah, interesting. And then the Louisiana, is that how you say Louisiana? Louisiana was the U-boats, took it out. It was just killed innocent civilians. Yeah, but you know what else is on there? Munitions. You know who denied there's munitions? No one in the media said it. Why? Because the media was owned by Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan, the whole thing. So the American people, just like September 11th, I was part of it. They said, blood, get those Germans. Get those Afghan goat herders before they get us. Yeah, that doesn't make sense, but get them anyway. Get Saddam, weapons of mass destruction, get them. But you're like, but there are munitions on that boat, Louisiana, I think is how you say it. My wife is trying to tell me how to say it. I can't pronounce it. And the Brits had blockaded Germany, and Germany said, well, if you're going to blockade us, we're going to blockade you. You can't get munitions from the United States into Britain. They're like, we don't have munitions, just a civilian ship, a merchant ship with civilians on there. What are you doing? Yeah. Brits denied it. 1980s, the U.S. said, yeah, there were munitions on there. That's all. Anyways, the point being was that allowed us to get in the war and helped us win the World War I, which we said we'd never fight. And J.P. Morgan got paid. Rockefeller got paid. It's all the same thing, though, man. Eisenhower, it's all the same. Anyway, so let's read this a little bit. I thought this was pretty interesting. I saw a guy's YouTube channel on this, and I said, man, that's pretty neat. Postmaster, please put a conspicuous place. We got the Postmaster General. Under executive order of the President, issued April 5th, 1933, all persons are required to deliver on or before May 1st, 1933, all gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates now owned by them. All persons are required to deliver what they own to the government, now owned by them. And let's see if we can, gold certificates may be identified. Criminal penalties for violation of executive orders are a $10,000 fine or 10 years imprisonment, or both. $10,000 flippin' fine, man. Can you believe that? What is a $10,000 fine from 1933 in today's numbers? Let's take a gander. $216,000 in today's dollars. $216,000. Interesting. So basically, if you do not turn in your gold coins, your gold bullion, your gold certificates, you had a fine of the equivalent of $216,000. Kind of like what they're fining the truckers up in Ottawa. Yeah, but the government, they're for us. They're going to take care of us. So let's read about this a little bit. I find this interesting. What was the Executive Order 16102 and how did it affect gold and silver? Alessandro Bruna wrote this in 2017. In 1933, at the height of the Great Depression, FDR confiscated all the gold that American private citizens held. He issued the executive order known as the Gold Confiscation Act. The purpose was to force Americans to hand over the gold at a price set by the government. You think that Roosevelt argued that this was necessary to ensure the security of massive bank loans. To ensure the security of massive bank loans. Basically, bail out the banks. And to stop the hoarding of gold. Now, why? Isn't that interesting? Because what else did FDR do during the Great Depression? Oh, he paid farmers to plow their crops to keep the prices artificially high. People were starving. We had breadlines, but hey, plow the crops to keep prices artificially high. I got a book here, Farm Fiasco by James Bovard. Farm Fiasco by James Bovard. How federal agricultural policy squanders billions of dollars a year, sacrifices the poor to the rich, and gives congressmen and bureaucrats vast arbitrary powers over American citizens. I don't know if he has anything on Roosevelt. Yes, he does. Lots of New Deal agricultural policies. Yeah, lots of. I've read a bunch from Bovard. I haven't read this one yet. I got so many freaking books to read. It's nuts. I really need to. New Deal agricultural. Anyway, I wonder if he has anything on crop. Yeah, we'll have to come back to that later. I'm not gonna do it while you guys are watching. All right, so let's keep going. Let's see. Some might see it as the single biggest theft of private property in American history. It does seem like something the Bolsheviks did. Indeed, in 1922, the Bolsheviks confiscated the property and precious metals of the Russian Orthodox Church. That said, Roosevelt's gold ownership restriction lasted well until after the Great Depression and never got relinquished until Ford reneged it and reneged it, reversing 1975. As it happens, the order is also known as the forbidding of hoarding of gold bullion, and gold certificates. In 1934, silver joined gold under Executive Order 6814. Roosevelt launched the silver confiscation, which required Americans to give up their silver. They collected almost 123 million ounces of silver in 4 years. Let's see. The underlying logic between these orders was to remove the constraint that prevented the Federal Reserve from increasing the supply of money during the Depression. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 required the Fed to issue banknotes according to gold reserves not less than 40%. That is, for every $20 in gold, the Fed could issue banknotes for $50. Under the Gold Reserve Act, the gold price, well above market price, was set at $35. Yeah. By the end of the 1920s, the Federal Reserve had practically surpassed that limit and needed to acquire more gold to legally issue more tender. The gold confiscation is related to a series of steps that FDR took to confront the Great Depression. The Emergency Banking Relieving Act, bailing out the banks again. This was an early precursor to the 2008 bailout, but it's more in favor of consumers than banks. Yeah, okay, buddy. All right, there's no evidence of that. More in favor of consumers than banks. But there you go. And then we're going to look right here. Give, Send, Go mocks Ontario's government's effort to freeze Freedom Convoy donations. And like the whole thing with the government this is in Canada, telling private people what they can and cannot engage with their private money is insanity. It's right out of the Bolshevik playbook. But if you think for a second that you're free from this, or you're like gold is a hedge against inflation, because, dude, it's been so manipulated. The only thing that's a hedge against inflation is not having any debt, man. And even that, you could say, well, that's actually a bad hedge because debt will be eaten away by inflation. No, you still have to have a job to pay that debt. I'm telling you. In economic terms, yes. Spreadsheets, yes. In reality, though, no, man. The best hedge against inflation is to not have debt. And just learn how to build your own food source of some sort. Doesn't have to be much, just something. Something. Anyway, they can do it again. And if you think they're not or they won't, I don't know what to tell you, man. You haven't been around long enough. You got to learn some stuff, because governments, this is what they do. They're always trying to expand their power. Always. All right. See you guys. Love your thoughts.